Hello friends, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Danny and today we're going to go through my October TBR. October is a really fun reading month for me because I tend to completely dive in headfirst into some genres that are not my norm. I do read a sprinkling of them throughout the year, but for whatever reason in October, I just dive in. And so I usually have a lot of fun this month, but you will definitely see some differences in the books that I have picked this month if you are used to watching my other TBRs. So without further ado, let's get started. First, there are 3 books that I'm pulling over from September. 2 of these have been on my TBR for the past couple months and I just keep putting them off, and it's because they're physical reads, so I know that's why I keep putting them off, and that is The Stranger Times and The Will of the Many. So my goal is to actually get to these this month, but because of the fact that they are physical reads, they do take me a little bit longer. So hopefully I will get to these. The third on that list from September was The Death in Her Hands, which I have on audio and I will be listening to this month. It does actually fit in with one of my other video ideas for this month, so I should definitely be getting to this one. This month I am participating in 2 readathons, the first of which is Tackle Your TBR, which I have participated in before on my channel. This is hosted by Kirsten over at The Reading Nymph. I will link their channel down below so you guys can go and check them out. The readathon has 4 prompts that is just based on getting your TBR done. This month, I believe Kirsten is focusing on a spooky TBR, so there is a little bit of a seasonal vibe with this one. So the first thing I'm going to do is tell you the 4 books that I plan on reading for that vlog. The first of which is for the first prompt, which is a book from your TBR, is The House at the Bottom of the Lake. So the only thing I know about this book is it's very short. I do tend to pick shorter books for the readathon because it's a 24-hour readathon, although you can make it as long as you want to. You don't have to do it in 24 hours if you don't want to. This book I think is 4 hours on audio, and it's by Josh Malerman, who has several other books. I'll put some other pictures of some of his other books that are out that I would like to read, and The House at the Bottom of the Lake just sounds intriguing to me. Like the title in general, the cover I think is really ominous. So yeah, I'm excited to give this author a try. I know that he is primarily a horror author. I'm not sure if he's gone into any other genres, but yeah, I would like to see what I think of this author's writing. Prompt number 2 is to continue a series. For this prompt, I am going to be reading Paladin's Hope, which is the 3rd book in the Saints of Steel trilogy that I've been reading throughout this year. This is a T. Kingfisher trilogy. Since this is the 3rd in a book, or 3rd in a series, I'm not going to tell you much about the plot, but these books are fantasy, romance, slash a tiny bit of horror, and I've just really enjoyed the series so far, so I'm excited to continue and actually finish this series. Prompt number 3 is a book that you keep putting off, and I am going to be reading Not for Good Maidens. In this prompt, this is a book that features goblins, and I think the goblin market, which is a type of book that I have been looking for. There aren't very many that I have found that are on the goblin market, and so that is something I've been seeking out, but this has been on my TBR for over a year, and I just keep not picking it up because I know it's because I can't get it on audio. And I have, in recent months, I have really been enjoying my audiobooks, and so books that are not on audio I tend to avoid. And I just need to bite the bullet and pick this up because I know I'm going to love it. The 4th prompt on the readathon is to read a short book, and for this I actually have 2 options because I'm not sure which one will come in on Libby by the time of the readathon. By the way, if I didn't say that, the readathon is, the 24 hours is October 21st, but like I said before, you can spread it out however you would like. So the 2 books that I have for this are We Have Always Lived in the Castle. This is a Shirley Jackson, who I've never read from before, and this cover just fascinates me. I know that this book features, I believe, 2 sisters who live in a village, and the villagers are pretty cruel to them. And that's kind of all I know. That's kind of all I want to know. Every time I walk by this in a bookstore, anytime I'm walking through, I always pause. I don't know why. The cover of this fascinates me, and I want to see what it's about. The second book that I might read for this prompt is called And Then I Woke Up, and this is part of the synopsis for it. It says, In a world reeling from an unusual plague, monsters lurk the streets while terrified survivors arm themselves and roam the countryside in packs. Or perhaps something very different is happening. When a disease affects how reality is perceived, it's hard to be certain of anything. I am fascinated by this as well, and I've seen this on a couple of different booktube channels, and I don't know, I just think it sounds interesting, and the fact that you would have kind of maybe like an unreliable narrator because you have this disease that can affect the perception of reality. I don't know. I think it sounds interesting. The second readathon that I will be participating in is the Nightmare Before Christmas readathon, which is being hosted by Michaela Reads and Maddie Moon's Library. I'll link their channels down below so you guys can go and check out the announcement for this readathon. They have a bingo board, and the readathon is happening within 1 week. However, I'm going to manipulate it a little bit just because I know that a week's worth of time, because of deadlines and things that I have at the library, I have to read books whenever I get them. Otherwise, I'm going to miss the deadline. And so I'm going to spread this out into an entire month and just trying to achieve as many prompts as I possibly can. So one of the prompts that I will be fulfilling with my Tackle the TBR, there's a prompt on the bingo board, and I'll put the bingo board up here so you guys can see. Maybe I'll scoot over so I can make it a little bit bigger. So one of the prompts is to read a book featuring romance. So the Paladin's Hope meets that. And then another prompt that is met is one that's been on my TBR for a really long time, and that is Not for Good Maidens. So, and then I think, I'm not sure, there's a prompt on here that says read an object, or read a book with a cursed object, and I'm not sure if Josh Malerman's House at the Bottom of the Lake will fit this prompt, because I don't know if the house is cursed or what. So that might be met. We'll see. Genre blending. So there's a prompt on here that's talking about blending 2 or more genres, and that would be Paladin's Hope. It's fantasy, romance / horror. There was another one, I think, or maybe not. So those are the books that are that I'm choosing for Tackle Your TBR that also work for this readathon. You know, gotta get my prompts in for both readathons when I can. The other books that I will be reading for Nightmare Before Christmas, I will talk about as I kind of go through the rest of my TBR. The first book that I'll be reading this month is called How Can I Help You? And I'm already halfway through this. So I will probably finish it today. And this actually meets 2 prompts for the Nightmare Before Christmas readathon. It meets the prompt of reading a new author, and then also the prompt of white and black on the cover. And this book I talked about in my spooky TBR, so I'll be brief, but it's about 2 librarians, one of which is a little unhinged and has a nursing background, and then one is just your kind of run-of-the-mill librarian who is kind of down on her luck. And some weird things start happening in the library. A woman dies, and one of the librarians starts questioning whether or not the other person had anything to do with it. The next read is Dead 11. This is going to fulfill the prompt for reading a hyped book, because I've heard everyone talk about this. And this, I don't know a ton about it. I know that it is featured, or there is an island in this book that is kind of stuck in the 1990s. And there are some weird, ominous things going on. And I don't think people are allowed to leave the island, or maybe if they do, it's on like a limited time. I'm not sure. It sounds nostalgic because of the fact that it's in the 90s. We'll actually see if that's how I feel about it after I read it. The next book on my TBR is The Blacktongue Thief. So this book I recently mentioned in my Fantasy Genre Blends episode number 6, where I talk about fantasy blended with other genres. This is fantasy horror, and we follow a thief who runs into the guardian of the god of death, I think. Something along those lines, and I think tries to steal from them and realizes they probably shouldn't have done that, gets himself in a little bit of a pickle. This has a dark landscape where it has trolls and giants and krakens in it, and I'm just really excited about this. So this one's actually going to fulfill 3 prompts for me from The Nightmare Before Christmas, one of which is that it's over 300 pages, one of which is I think it's going to be a new favorite. I am just really stoked for it, and I think that I'm going to absolutely love it. And then the third is that it has mountains or moon on the front cover. I think I might be cheating a little bit with that prompt, because I can't really tell with the fact that I know that it looks like they're exiting a cave, but it looks like they might be inside of a mountain. But I'm going to go ahead and go with it because it also, the little yellow piece kind of looks like a moon. So maybe I'm cheating, but I'm going to go ahead and count it. The next book on my TBR is a buddy read, and that is Sundown Motel. I'm reading this with Leandra from Leandra the TBR Zero. This is from Simone St. James, which I recently, or I guess last year, I read the Book of Cold Cases and really enjoyed it. And so I wanted to pick up something more by this author. And this is about a motel and a town in which there are a whole bunch of murders or unsolved cases, or like missing people. And I just absolutely love this cover ever since it came out. It's just been on my mind. Another buddy read this month is going to be The Daughter of the Pirate King. This is kind of my one of two like non-spooky reads for the month. I'm going to be buddy reading this with Ginny Chastain, and this is a book that is about the daughter of a pirate king who purposely gets herself kidnapped by another pirate crew so she can snoop along their crew and their ship and find something that she is interested in. So this is a Tricia Levenseller. I absolutely have loved a lot of her books. They're very cozy for me, and so I figured this would be kind of a good palate cleanser for the month, so I don't get too bogged down with creepy, scary things. Speaking of books that are going to help me not get so bogged down with creepy, scary, that is Small Spaces. This I talked about in my spooky TBR as well. It is a middle grade horror that features a girl, I think it's a girl, who steals a book from someone who's trying to throw the book in the river, and then when they read the book, scary things start happening. So that's all I know about it. I haven't read very many middle grade horror books, but I'm excited to start. The next book on my TBR is The Wall of Storms. This is book 2 in the Dandelion Dynasty. The first book is The Grace of Kings, which I read last month with Kirsten's Discord. We all kind of buddy read it together that month. And I gave Grace of Kings a 3-star. I really liked certain aspects of it, and I really disliked other aspects. And I've heard from a couple of people that you have to give the second book a try. And so I'm hoping that the second book will finalize that I want to continue with the series. So that is my goal this month, is to see if this series is going to be one that I DNF or one that I continue with. The next book on my TBR is the one that I'm probably most excited about for this month, and that is Mary. So this book has been on my TBR for a year because it came out last year. And it's about a woman who I believe is retirement age, who starts having visions or hallucinations while when she's showering. I think that's the reason that the cover has her in a tub, but maybe she just has visions anywhere. I don't know where I got the showering part. And these visions happen to be of murders, and they're murders that are actually happening. And so she kind of starts having this crisis of like, is this actually happening, or like, am I doing this? Like and things start falling apart. And so I'm excited. It sounds very psychological and trippy, and I just think it's going to be a really good time. Hello, editing me here. So I forgot a book. And so I just figured I would put it here. I don't know where this is going to fit, but wherever I am, hello. On top of the already very large October TBR that I have, I also really want to get to Frankenstein. This is the 1818 text, and I'm buddy reading this with Kirsten over at the Reading Nymph. So hopefully we can get to this October or sometime soon. The last 2 books that I'll mention to you are TBR hopefuls. They're books that are kind of last on my list to get to this month, but ones that I really do want to get to. And one of those is Vita Nostra. So this is a book that I really don't know a lot about. I know that it's dark academia. I've heard people say that this is a better version of the Trader Baru Cormorant, which I'm excited about because I did enjoy the Trader Baru Cormorant. I also, though, thought that book was very mentally taxing, so I am a little intimidated by this as well, but this is a book that I actually have on my physical TBR, and so I would like to read it because I own it. The last book on my TBR, which is also a hopeful, is the Rabbitback Literature Society. So this is on my 5-star predictions list, and I don't know much about it other than it is about a group of individuals who are in some sort of literature society, and they have, I think there's 10 members total, and they just got a new member, and they're being very dodgy about what happened to the last 10th member of the group. I've heard that this is weird, like Bunny, and that it is kind of chaotic, and I'm excited for it. I usually like weird books, and so I hope that I have time to get to this month. So those are the books that I have planned for my October TBR. This is a gigantic list of books, and yeah, participating in 2 readathons. All of it's very, very exciting, but I know I'm not going to be able to get to all of these, but fingers crossed that I beat my expectations and I get through every single one of these books and absolutely love them. But tell me what you guys are reading this month. Are you participating in any readathons? Are you getting into spooky reads, or do you like cozy things during the fall? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to have a conversation with you. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you have a lovely evening, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.